Hello, good morning, everybody, and thanks for dropping in. So, I've just got a few people in with us at the moment. So, David, Diane, Emma, Linda, Rochelle, and Maru. So, thanks, guys. So, my name's David Wise from Regional Business HQ, and today I'm going to be taking you through building a WordPress website using the Divi theme. So, just to let you know straight up front, this particular workshop is designed for people who are absolutely starting from scratch. So what we're going to be doing is before we even get to the Divi theme, going to be showing you how to go to a cPanel hosting account, install WordPress on there, and then point your domain name to your hosting account, and then install the Divi theme, and then finally we'll get started with setting up a website on the Divi theme, and then get started with a few basics. So there is a follow-up to this one in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's called Optimizing Your WordPress Divi website, and it will pick up where this one leaves off and go show you some of the more advanced features of Divi. But today we're really doing the basics. So I just want you guys. So I basically just before we get to you guys, I'd love to hear a little bit about what your level of experience is. But yeah, so we will be actually starting from scratch, as I said. So which also means if it doesn't go smoothly, I'm going to be fixing it or trying to fix it live in the workshop. So it may be a good thing or it may not be a good thing for you guys. If we do encounter any problems, you may get the opportunity to see how to fix it. But that said, I'd love for you guys if you just wanted to pop into the chat and just let me know. I suppose just say from 1 to 5, one being absolute beginner, no idea with what this is that we're doing today, and 5 being you're fairly savvy. Where would you put yourself at 1 to 5 on the scale? A 3, Linda said. 1 is for Diane. Yep, cool. 2.5. Yep. Got it. All right. So Rochelle's got a WordPress website which uses Divi. It was set up by someone else. I want to know how to edit. No experience. All right. So probably as we get into the second half, Rochelle, so when we actually start working in Divi, might benefit you more. But yeah, so the first bit's actually going to be about installing WordPress on your hosting and all that sort of thing, but which is handy to know anyway. So all good. Okay. And just is everyone from around Queensland today? Have we got anyone? Where are we all joining us from as well? I'd love to. I'm in Bundaberg, so Emma's from WA, Queensland, Twanton, Brisbane. Cool. Alrighty. No worries, guys. So let's jump into it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just take that slide down. I'm just going to share my screen here. So what you guys should be seeing is the back end of our hosting account, and I'm just going to move that up there. All right. So just to let you know, I just to track where things are going today. So this is the domain that we're going to set the website up on, which is how to set up a Divi website.com. And what you're seeing there at the moment, if I go to that address, you can see that there's just nothing there at the present time. So we're going to we're going to use that tab to just keep a track of what changes we do and how that affects what people can see publicly when we actually go to that domain. So like I said, the part of this workshop, a couple of you are a little bit more advanced. The workshop's probably designed for people who are at the one, so forgive me if I'm explaining things that you already know, but we it is designed for people who are starting straight out. So just to on that, I believe this is actually also being recorded as well for people who participated, but by all means feel free to take notes yourself. So with just to clarify a couple of terms. So if you see where my little mouse is there, we're in our hosting account. When we talk about terms like a domain and hosting and themes and so forth, these will become a little bit more self-evident as we go, but probably from the get-go, what I'd like you to probably try and think about as a a domain, if you think of it like your home or anywhere that's a physical address in the world. So a domain is like the internet equivalent of land that you'll find at that address, and think of your website as the house that you're going to build on it. So that's so Emma said, I can't hear you, but I'm back now. Cool. Thank you. All right. So that said, starting from the very beginning, what you can see on the screen here is the back end of our website hosting account. So, and you can see I'm in I'm just going to go back one step. All right. So in this account with the Venture IP, before we talk about web hosting, you can see a list of domain names that we own here. And you can see we've got how to set up a Divi website dot com. And so if you could have your domain name, it could be Venture IP, it could be Crazy Domains, GoDaddy. There's lots and lots of places on the internet where you can register a domain name. It doesn't really matter too much where you've got your domain registered, but it's this next step I'm going to show you that's important, because what you want um, is for your domain name, when someone puts that website address in, we want to show it where to find your website. And what that involves doing is pointing it to your hosting account. Okay. So I'm just going to slip out of this domains section here for a moment and go over to the web hosting accounts that we own. So you can see that I've previously set up a web hosting account. For how to set up I've named it after the domain for simplicity's sake. But what we actually need to do is use the simplest and easiest way to do it for a beginner is to use a thing called name servers. And where we find that, so if we go to our hosting account, go to manage, or it's every host is going to be a little bit different, but you're looking for something similar to this. And then in manage, well, this is in our hosting account now, you're going to see something that says manage DNS, which is domain name servers. And so if we go in there and it says access and manage your DNS records, we're going to go there. Oops, sorry. Sorry guys, just need to back up a step here. All right, so we're looking for that. In our web hosting. And so you'll see it's going to, in your hosting account, if you're looking around for, there it is, name servers, it's going to tell you what the name servers are for your hosting account. So you'll see here that for our hosting account, our name servers are this, there's a whole bunch of numbers there, ns1.sid6 hostingplatform.net.au. All right, so we're either noting that down or copying and pasting it somewhere, going to our domains, how to set up a Divi website.com, going into DNS in there. The name servers you'll see is already set at that, but if you wanted to change that, you'd go edit name servers and paste those two name servers in there and save changes. Alrighty. So what that does is, as I said, you could, in this case, we've got our domain and our hosting with Venture IP, so it's automatically linked. But if, say, I had a domain registered with Crazy Domains and I had my hosting with GoDaddy, which happens from time to time because sometimes we want to register a domain and it's half the price or whatever somewhere to what our hosting company is. So there's various reasons why you might have a domain registered with one place and you get your hosting elsewhere. But as long as you can find those name servers on your hosting and then go to your domain and um, in your domain name management section, tell it where to find your hosting, then you'll be able to manage that. Alrighty. Okay. So as I said, this is recorded if you need to go back and watch this at your own pace. Now, what we're going to do next, so how to set up a Divi website. We've got, when you buy hosting from a company, you'll find that there's a lot of different options. Traditionally, the most common type of shared hosting has been what's called cPanel hosting. Now you can get specific WordPress hosting, which will generally cut out the next step that I'm going to show you, but we'll use the traditional, most common type of cPanel hosting in order to show what you do. So I'm in the hosting area now, how to set up a Divi website, and this time I want to go into this control panel, or cPanel for short, area. And regardless of what hosting company you're with, if you've got cPanel hosting, it's going to bring up a screen that looks pretty much the same or similar to this. And you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff here. There's email accounts, track delivery, spam filters, PHP, MyAdmin, a lot of stuff here that is not going to mean a great deal to you. But what we're needing to do for this first step is we want to actually install WordPress on our hosting account. So we're going to go, says you'll normally find one of these two, either Installatron Applications Installer or Softaculous Apps Installer. And you'll see if in this case, if you go a bit further down, there's actually a whole section for Installatron. Doesn't make too much difference which one you use. There's the Softaculous ones there. We'll use Installatron today. So we see WordPress there in amongst the apps we want to install. So, yep, we want to install WordPress on our hosting account. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to come up with a screen like that. You'll see a button over on your right here that says Install Application. So I'm going to click that. And it's going to ask a bunch of questions. So is this the domain? Yes, it is. Directory optional. If you're just starting out, don't worry about that. It's going to ask you here your administrator username and password. So if it's just going to throw up something automatically, I'm going to change that to something that's a bit easier for me to remember. There, email, that's someone else's email here. So I'm going to change that to my email. Website title, my blog, and tagline, just another WordPress website. You don't have to change these now. You can change it later on, but I will. So what I'm going to do is the dummy, the fake website, if you will, that we're going to make today is going to be a website about the joys of living in regional Queensland. So I'm just going to change that to regional Queensland. Oops. And I'm just going to add a tagline for now. Live, work, and play. Straight out of the marketing textbook. All right, so I'm not going to worry about two-factor authentication right now. So we're just going to do all the basics at the moment. And once we've done that, let's press install. And it will go through a little bit of a process. So basically, WordPress, while it's doing that, so for those who don't know, so WordPress is basically a free software that's available that essentially runs the back end of websites. But there's normally other costs associated with using it, but WordPress itself is actually free. Okay, so that's installed there. What we might do, remember our tab where we were just keeping track of how things changed if someone went to the publicly available view of that domain. So we've installed WordPress now, and so what you'll see there is it's actually installed the basic WordPress template on that website. So now if someone goes to how to set up a diviwebsite.com, they are looking at the basic WordPress website. Okay, so that being done, our next step, so we're kind of finished now with mucking around with our hosting and our domain name. So we've pointed our domain at where our hosting account is. We've gone to our hosting account. We've installed WordPress. Now it's actually time to go to our website itself and log into the WordPress dashboard. Now, a couple of ways. We're going to get there. So if you're doing this for the first time, I can actually go to see where it says, where my mouse is pointing there, where it says log in. If I press that, that will actually take me to the WordPress login screen. But if you just look up here in the address bar and take note of the first bit of that, so how to set up a Divi website slash wp hyphen login.php. If you just use that bit for now, rather than having to go in through your hosting account in future, if you just open a WordPress browser, a website browser, put that address in, it will take you to this login screen. So just to demonstrate that, I'm just going to copy that bit, go to a new tab, go to headers, and there I am at the login screen. So you don't have to go in through your hosting account every single time. Okay, now, so remember when it said it gave me that weird username and I said I'm going to change it to something that's easier to remember. So this is where we're going to actually use that username. Okay, so it's logging me in. All right. And so what we're looking at now, folks, is the back end of a WordPress website. So this is your standard WordPress dashboard. So now remember this here. So this is the front end of what people can see publicly when they go to that domain name. This is what you're seeing when you log into your WordPress dashboard. And if, in fact, from the WordPress dashboard, the easiest way to get to your site is up in the top right-hand corner. There'll be a little home symbol there with your site name. And straight under that, it says visit site. If I click that, that'll take me out of the back end and to the front end of the site. All right, but here we are. So our next step is we want to install the Divi theme. So now what a theme is, so with WordPress, as I said, WordPress is free software that runs the back end of a website. But in order for that front part of the website to be visible, WordPress requires that you have what's called a theme. And where you find that in your dashboard, just down here where it says appearance and themes, if we click on that, you'll see every year WordPress releases a standard free theme that comes automatically when you install WordPress. So it says here that the currently active theme is 2025. We're going to add a new theme to that. And there is, of course, yeah, there's actually hundreds or thousands, if you like, of free themes, but Divi is one that's made by a company called Elegant Themes, and it's actually something that you have to pay for. So we're just going to jump over to their website now. So you'll see here, I'm on the website of a company called Elegant Themes, who makes the Divi theme. And if we go to their website, if we go to their Divi products and services, scroll down a little bit, there is a cost associated with getting Divi, which if we can find it in amongst all of their advertising, get Divi today. I'm just going to click get Divi today. All right, here we go. So the pricing for Divi, this is in US dollars, right? So not Australian dollars. So disregard for if you're just starting out, we'll disregard that Divi Pro side of it because that's basically for if you're a website developer and you're making multiple websites for clients, just for yourself. So we have the Divi purchase the license for a Divi theme, so it's US $7.42 per month, billed at $89 per year. or if I toggle that button up the top there, I can get it a lifetime license for a one-time payment of $249 US. Okay, so that's what you're looking at if you want to use the Divi theme. But once you've done that, go ahead. I've already got an account, obviously, so I'm just going to go to my account area. And once you've bought the Divi theme, you'll have a members area on the Elegant Themes website where you can just go to Divi. You'll see there that they've got another version in testing stage, but we're just going to go with the tried and proven current one. So you're going to, from here, download the Divi theme onto your computer. And you can see there, it's come into my downloads on the top right there as a zip file. Okay, so now that I've got that theme in a zip file, what I'm going to do is go back to my WordPress dashboard in the Add Themes area, and we're going to select Upload Theme, choose File, and select that file that we just downloaded. Alrighty, folks, brace yourselves because if anything's going to go wrong, this is where it usually does. So let's see how we go. So we just wait. You can see the little timer going around in circles there. All right, so it's gone unpacking package, installing the theme installed successfully. So good news for me is that that's actually gone smoothly. Maybe not good news for you guys, because if it hadn't have gone smoothly, you might have got the opportunity to see how to fix something that's gone wrong. But just on that, if it does go wrong, it's normally it's normally going to be something to do with the fact that the zip file is bigger than the upload size that your hosting company will allow. That's, I would say, probably 90% of the time. If it doesn't go smoothly, that's going to be the problem, is because the zip file is bigger than what your hosting company will allow you to upload. So a couple of ways you can fix that is we'll talk more about plugins in the second version of this, but you can normally find a plugin to increase the maximum upload, or if you contact your hosting company directly and submit a support ticket, they'll normally take care of that pretty quickly for you. So, as I said, gone smoothly this time, but it's 90% of the time, if it does go wrong, it's going to be because the file is bigger than what your hosting company will allow. Okay, so in themes, now one more thing that we've got to do is that we've got to change the active theme from the standard WordPress 2025 to Divi. So Divi is there, we're going to press activate. Okay, and then log in to activate your license. All right, so now the username and password that I'm putting in here is from my Elegant Themes account. So it's just wanting to, it's actually just wanting to verify that I have purchased Divi and I do have a license. Okay, all right. So now that Divi is installed, you're going to see on our dashboard menu over here, it's still the same, but been a whole new Divi section added to it now. So before we go ahead and start building, we're just going to um, do a couple of things in our options section here. So you'll see the section called theme options, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of stuff here. So we'll talk some more about this in the second version, but just for now, a few of the things that you're going to want to get sorted out straight away. Now, where it says logo here, let's just go back to our tab. I want to just refresh that. So this is what we're seeing if somebody goes to how to Divi set up a Divi website.com. And you see here that that's actually changed again. It's still got the hello world and all that sort of stuff, but this logo up here has actually been changed to the Divi logo. So one of the first things that we're going to want to do when we start pulling together our website is to have our own business logo on there. So we're going to, in that logo section where it says upload, I'm going to press upload, select files. Now I do have a folder around which I accidentally closed. Ah, there it is. So this is just really basic, but I've just made a real quick logo, which took me a couple of seconds to do. So this is the logo we're going to use. We're going to set that as the logo. We're going to press Save Changes. And if I go back and refresh that publicly visible bit, you're going to see that that logo has now replaced the standard Divi logo. So that doesn't quite look as ideal though, so we are going to fix that in just a moment. But before we do that, a couple of other things to fix on here. I normally click enabled on all of these things. So later on, if you want to play around with fonts, these are going to be, so it's got a couple of basic social media icons on here. So I'm actually going to disable all of those social media things for the time being. Smooth scrolling, yes, we like smooth scrolling as well. So I'm actually going to save all of that. Okay, now next part of it. So you'll see down here we've got theme options, theme builder. I'm going to show you what that is in a little bit. But the next part that we want to visit is this one called theme customizer. Uh, I don't know why that's logged me out, but okay. Sorry, guys, I've got no idea why that logged me out then. All right, now in our theme customizer, you'll see that it actually brings up a few more different options. So the one that we're going to be mainly concerned with at the moment is, remember before we put that logo in there, but it didn't quite look ideal. So what we're going to actually play around with is our header, our menu bar format. So I'm going to go into primary menu bar, and there's a few different options there. So you'll see this, it says hide logo image. If I was to click that, that's disappeared altogether. But I want that visible there. Now you've got someone's got their microphone on, and that's a bit distracting. If that's sorry. Um, so you see these two, we're gonna play around with these two bits here, which is menu height and logo max height. Now, what they do, if I actually slide the menu height, that's going to increase the overall size of that menu. And if I slide the logo max height, that's going to increase the size of the logo, the percentage of the menu area that the logo takes up. So what I'm going to do is so instead of that being really small, I'm going to set that at about just about that 90% there. So that logo is taking up 90% of the menu height. And I'm just going to knock that menu height up a little bit. So we'll make that at about, 65, 66%. I was going for 65, but let's make it 65 for a nice round number. All right, so you can see that logo is a little bit more visible there now. Now, the next problem, so on that, when we get out of there, before we actually leave that theme customizer, I want to be sure to push the blue button there that says publish to make sure that those changes are saved. Okay, the next problem that we're going to solve is that you see on our front page here, it's just showing up this hello world and that. So what it's actually doing is picking up so WordPress is actually picking up what's called posts. But what we want is our home page on there. So just going to go back to our WordPress dashboard now. And we're going to add a new page, which is actually going to be the home page of our website. So if we go to pages here, we can add page, or up the very top of our menu there, there's a plus new thing, and then it says post media page project user. It doesn't matter which one you use, they're both going to take you to the same place. So we'll go add page. Now, in this case, we've gone to the trouble and expense of buying Divi. So when it says, do you want to build your layout using Divi? We're going to say yes, use the Divi builder. But before I do that, I'm just going to name this page home and call it that in the title up there. And then I'm going to press use the Divi builder. And then it's going to go through a process, and it throws up this little pop-up which says start building. If you're using it for the first time, feel welcome to take the tour, but we're just going to start building at the moment, and it's going to throw up another pop-up which says build from scratch, choose a pre-made layout or build with AI. Now, what will happen if we pick each one of those? So build with AI. So just feel free to use this. If you press that, um, it will ask you a few questions about your website and so forth, and AI will essentially build you a website. But if you want to change anything, then you're going to need to know how to edit Divi. So we might cover that when we do the more advanced one. We can say choose a pre-made layout. So Divi comes with several hundred pre-made templates. So you can click that and it will take you to some of those pre-made templates. Again, in order to add your own photos, change your text, or make any slight changes, you're going to need to know how to use the builder in the first place. And so hence for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to go with the build from scratch so that I can show you exactly how to do that. All right. So we're building from scratch. And so what it's done here is taken us to the front end of that page, and it's just showing us a blank page at the moment, and we need to add content to it. All right. So just where it says insert row there, I am just going to insert a row, and then I'll quickly insert that, and then I'll backtrack and explain exactly what I'm doing here. Okay. So here's the important thing. If you take nothing else out of today and you're learning how to use Divi, the essential building blocks of Divi works on three things. That's rows, sections, and modules. Okay, so now when we're in what's called the Divi Visual Builder, you can see if I hover over that, it brings up a blue outline, and that's what's called a section. You can see that that blue bit goes all the way across the page, and it takes up that whole section. So within each section, if I hover down a little bit closer, you'll see it brings up this bit with a green outline. Now this is called a row, and so rows are nested inside of sections, and then inside of each row, if I hover down a bit further, it brings up a dark grey outline, and this is called a module. Now the module, there's lots of different modules, but what I've just put in there is a standard text module at the moment. All right, so you got sections, rows, and modules. Now with the rows, well, actually, no, we'll come back to what I was going to say. All right, so what we would actually like to do with this is we'd like to turn this for our regional Queensland website. We'd actually like to turn this into a big header area with a nice picture and a headline in it. So, which, as you can see, we're quite a long way from that at the present time. So, where do we start with that? All right, so we're going to start with the section. So if I want a big, huge image in there, you would think, oh, that goes all the way across the page. You might be tempted to think, oh, well, let's grab an image and just pop it in there. But no, what we've actually got to do is we're going to go into the section, and you'll see the little cog there, which is kind of the universal symbol for settings. We're going to click on that cog, and you'll see it opens section settings, and it's got a bit here called content, design, and advanced. So we're going to work a bit with the content and design tabs today. What I want to do is I actually want our big image to take up the background of that full section there. So in the section settings, I'm going to go to background. And when I click on background, you'll see I could add a background color, which you can see it's white at the moment. If I was to click orange, that changes to orange. Click green, changes to green. If I click black, it changes to black. All right. So we can change the color in there. If you've got a particular brand color, then on the color palette there, you would click on settings and you would type in the code for your color there, and it would come up. But as I said, what we actually want to do is we want to put a nice big image in there. So I'm actually going to delete that color change. And these tabs here, if we go across a couple, you'll see it says background image, and we've got add background image. So I am going to go ahead and do that. It's going to open up the WordPress media library, and the image I need isn't there at the moment. So I need to upload a file. select file, and saved on my computer. I've just got this nice um, image that stock that I got earlier, which is from the Glasshouse Mountains at the sunny coast, I think. So it's given the blue tick to say that that's uploaded into my WordPress library. And then down the bottom right, there's a button there that says upload an image, which is kind of weird because we've actually already uploaded it and we just want to insert it. But we're going to press upload an image. And you'll see there that that image, although we want to see a little bit more of it, that image is actually filling the background of that section there now. All right, but as we said, so I do want to see more of that great image and make that section a lot bigger as the first thing that people see when they jump onto my website. So what I'm actually going to do is still in the section settings. I'm just going to jump across to this design tab here now, and you'll see that it's presenting me with a number of options like layout, sizing, and dividers, spacing. What we want for the purposes of this exercise. Now you might logically go, oh, that if I want to make that bigger, I'm going to go to sizing. But no, what we actually have to do is go to spacing. And okay, so in our spacing settings, you've got, no matter where you find it, there's always a bit called margin and a bit called padding. And I'm just going to demonstrate to you what they do. So if I was to increase the bottom margin, for instance, you can see that what that is actually doing, the higher it goes, it's actually putting a gap between this section and the next section. So margin, if you think about it, puts a gap on the outside of the section. Just going to reset that to 0. Padding, on the other hand, if I start increasing the padding, you can see the section itself actually beginning to stretch out. Okay, so margin is on the outside, padding adds space to the inside. But all right, so that's what margin and padding do. What I'm going to do though is just reset that to naught and show you a much simpler way to make this picture a bit bigger. So you see between top and bottom in padding there's a little link thing. So if I click that so it turns blue, whatever padding I add to the bottom or top is going to add to the other as well. So now the other thing that I like to do, you'll see that if I just click the arrow there, it starts going up in pixels. Um, just by way of good practice, because there's lots of all different types of screens and so forth. You can actually set that as percentage as well. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to add, I want to add 20% to both the top and bottom. And you can see when I've done that, it's made it actually absolutely huge and filled up the whole screen. So I'm just going to walk that back a bit to about probably 15 or 12%. You can see as I click down, they're both top and bottom are changing. All right, so I'm just going to leave that at 15 at the moment. Okay, so you can see there, so I've got a nice picture of the sunrise and the Glasshouse Mountains there as what we call the hero image that people see when they first jump on the website. Okay, now in Divi, um, always a good idea to save regularly. So before I actually leave those section settings now, you'll see down the bottom here, there's a cross, undo and go forward bit, and a green tick. We always want to press the green tick before we actually leave when we're happy with what we've done. And then the second thing that we actually want to do regularly and before we actually leave the page is down the bottom here, you'll see these purple circle with three dots. Click on that. In this case, I'm actually going to go ahead and press publish now. If you haven't actually published the page yet, it will be saved, but I'm actually going to click publish, or you could, and then I'm just going to show you something. If we go to our tab here, which is what people, oh, sorry, forgive me guys, I did almost forget to do one step there. We will come back to that. All right, so I've got that at the moment. Now, yeah, I'd nearly jumped two steps ahead. Sorry. So we've got our image there, but we want to actually put in a nice heading there. So you can see there, if you can just make it out, where we put inside of our row, we put a text module before. And there's just this little bit of really small placeholder text. So where we're going to go next is just click on the cog, universal symbol for settings in module, and you'll see here that it says text settings, and there's some placeholder text in there. So what we actually want to do is we want to put this as our main headline. So I'm going to put in the words welcome to regional Queensland. And you can see that you can just barely make that out there. So obviously we want that a lot bigger and brighter. So now in the text settings, in the text editor, you'll recognize a lot of those things. It's much the same as if you use Microsoft Word or anything like that. So what I'm actually going to do though is highlight that text, and just up above that, you see where it says paragraph? I'm going to click that drop down and I'm going to make that a first level heading, which in Divi is referred to as heading 1. So when I change that, if you're still following, can see to the left there, you can see that that text is much bigger. It's still dark, but it's a lot bigger now. All right, so what we want to do next is that's our content. So we want to fix the design of that first level heading. So we're going to go over to the design tab. We're going to go to heading text. And you can see here you've got H1, H2, H3 across the page there. So H1 is what we want. First of all, I want to make that bold. I'm going to change the heading text color to white. So you can see that we can see that there now, but it's not quite big enough yet. So I actually, in the heading text size there, I'm actually going to go all the way up to about 48 pixels. And yeah, I think I'm just going to leave that how that is now for the time being. I might come back and play with it a little bit more later, but I'm just going to leave that section how it is now. So of course, when I'm finished in there, I'm pressing on the green tick to save that, and then going back down here and pressing save. All right, so let's check out our progress now in a moment, but we need to just go back to our theme customizer to do that step. So what we're going to do now, see up the top here, it says Exit Visual Builder. We're just going to click on that. And now that we've exited it, you can see where I can, when I hover over anything, it's just actually, yeah, it's not bringing up the sections or rows or modules. It's just bringing up the live view of that page. Now, as I said, what we want to do, we actually want to make this our home page. So if we go back to this tab where we're keeping track of how the website looks to the world, if they go to our address there, if I refresh that, you can still see that hasn't changed yet. So if we want this to appear here, we need to actually set that page as our home page. Even though we called it home, there's one more step to do to actually make it our home page. So what I'm going to do now, we'll go back to our dashboard. I could go straight to the theme customizer. When we open that customizer, second from the bottom, you'll see that there's a bit called homepage settings. So let's click on that. And as our home page, we want to select a static page, and you can see our page there that we created on the list called home. We're going to make it that. And then we're going to click publish. So now that we've done that, if we go to our other tab where we're tracking what the world is seeing when they go to our website address, if we refresh, you can see that it's now that page that we've created called home page. All right. Okay. Now, the next issue on our home page there is that on WordPress, it's thrown up this weird section at the bottom here. So we actually, and that's a WordPress thing, not a Divi thing. So we actually just want to get rid of that so that we can go ahead and make our site look how we want it to look. Okay, so remaining in the theme customizer, we're just going to go to widgets there. You can see it says footer area 1. We're just going to say got it. And what we want to do is just go through, select all of these. When it brings up that little menu, there's just a little options box over there. We just want to delete all of that. Okay, that's footer area 1. Make sure there's nothing in 2, nothing in 3. All right, so we've just deleted all of those widgets. And if I press publish, we've got those out of the way there now. We've just got those. We've still got that black area though. So if I go into, so instead of widgets, I'm going up here to footer now, going to footer, just checking the footer elements, making sure there's nothing in there. That's causing that. All right. So if we've deleted those, this is one of those things where things don't go as expected, then we have to figure out what's actually going on. So let's check our front site. So that section is still there, and we absolutely don't want that. And normally it disappears when you delete all of the widgets. So what I'm going to do is go back to my dashboard, and you can see that the same place where we found our themes under the appearance menu, you've got widgets about halfway down. So I'm going to go in there and just see if there's anything there that I can actually get rid of to make that section disappear. and doesn't actually look like there is. All right, so let's figure this out, guys. Let's figure this out. All right, so what we're going to do, all right, I'm going to skip a step because I was going to show you how to do this. Well, actually, no, we'll come back to that footer. We'll deal with that in about 10 or 15 minutes. All right. Okay. So let's go back to our home page. What I want to do here now, so we've set up our little bit of a header area there, and we've got our title there. And then we're going to we need more than that on our home page, obviously. So we're going to add another section below that. So we're going to go into Enable Visual Builder again, and you can see it does its little thing. And once again, if I hover over that, I can see my section, row, and my module there. So we're going to add another section. So if I hover over section, at the bottom of that, you'll see the little plus sign there. And if I click that, um, I just want a regular section at the moment. And then it says insert row. All right. And what all these things mean, this actually means it's asking me how many columns I want to have in my new row. So the last one was just a single column. This time I'm actually going to have 3 columns. So I'm going to press 3 columns there. And you can see it's brought up a row there that's got 3 distinct columns. Now, if I wanted to change that, when I've got my row highlighted, just a couple across there, you'll see that little column symbol. I can actually change that in there. So if you don't know first off the bat, or you select 3 and decide you need 2 or 4 or 6, then you can change that. So like if I wanted to change that to 4, you can see that changes to 4. But I do just want 3. Okay. And next we're going to add modules in there. So you can see where it's got the grey plus sign indicating that it needs a module to be put in that column. If I click on that, it brings up our full module list. Now you saw up in the header section we worked with a basic text module, but you can see there's lots and lots of different ones, and we explore these more in the follow-up to this workshop. But we've already used the text module. So this time around, I'm going to show you a module called the blurb. So I'm going to click on blurb. And as soon as I do that, it inserts a module that's made up of a picture, a title, and some written content. Okay. And it's opened up the screen here for the blurb settings already. So if I didn't want that, again, hover over the module, click the cog, and it would open that up. All right, so I've actually got some back in my file that's on my computer. I've actually got a Word document with some text to paste in there that I wrote earlier. So I'm just going to open that document up. Okay, so, and here under blurbs, I've called one Natural Splendor, which is nice. All right, so I'm going to take my text there that I wrote. I'm just going to paste that in, and I'm going to change that title to Natural Splendor. Okay, so you can see what that's done over there. Now, with this picture in a blurb module, now logically, I could go ahead. See, just down underneath the text here in the settings, it says image and icon. Logically, if I had an image that I wanted to put in there, I could click that cog go to my library and upload an image and put in there. I'll just choose that one to show you what happens, and it will put that image there. But what I actually want to do with these is show you how to play around with the icon feature. So instead of having that image, I'm just going to put that in the bin, and I'm going to click this toggle that says use icon. Now, in Divi, there's lots and lots of different icons. So I could spend my time scrolling through that, looking for an appropriate one, but I'm just going to see if there's one. I'm just going to search nature, and it gives me a few different options there. And I kind of like that leaf, so I'm just going to select the leaf and put that there. So what you can see it's done is it's got natural splendor and it's put that leaf icon up there. I don't quite like that color, but so let's go and fix that. So what we need to do now, remember our content and design tabs, we're going to go to the design tab, select image and icon, and if you had a particular brand color you're using, then you could put that in here, but I'm just going to click the eyedropper under the image and icon thing. I'm going to find a nice-ish. I'm going to find a shade of green that I like. That'll do. Um, and then if you're using a particular color, you'd obviously keep a record of what that is. But so I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to save my blurb module. Other things I could do is if I wanted the title to be a bit bolder, I could go to title text, title font weight, make that bold like that. Actually, I think I'm going to make that semi-bold there. Going back into the content, image and icon. Sorry, icon color, image and icon placement. I can actually, instead of being there, I can change that to, so it's a smaller icon at the left there, but I'm going to leave it at the top. I might just make it a bit smaller though. So you can see that image icon width. If I slide that across, that just makes that a little bit more subtle. And then it's got image icon alignment. So if I was to click left, it'll move that over there. If I click right, it'll move it there. Centered is there. So actually, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave that centered. And what I'm going to do is go down to my text and see where it says text alignment. I'm going to center that and bring that across there. Actually, I don't like that. I'm going to leave it left. You guys will relate to that when you start doing this. You'll be like, oh, I'm going to try that. And then go, actually, no, I don't like that. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. Okay, now what I actually want to do is put two more blurbs there, but you'll see that I mucked around with the icon color and size, and I changed a few different things. So I don't want to have to go get another blurb module and redo all that again. So what I'm actually going to do this time is in the module, when I bring up the module thing, you'll see it's got the settings thing. Right next to that is one for duplicate. So I'm just going to duplicate that. And then when it'll pop up straight underneath it. I'm going to use the little cross arrows, click on that, hold down my mouse button and drag that up to there. And then I'm going to repeat that process again. All right, so I've got my three blurb modules across there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and change the content for those. So if I go to my text that I wrote earlier. Paste that in. Natural Splendor. Instead of Natural Splendor, I'm going to call that one Community. And then I'm going to go to my icon, and a nice people icon might be good to go with community. So if I search people, change it to that, and that's community done. And then this last one is called adventure. So again, just going to copy my content. If you didn't have something pre-written, obviously you could write it in there. And I'm going to say adventure. And then I'm going to change my icon. I'm not sure what we're going to come up with here. Nothing for adventure. What about hiking? There we go. They got a guy hiking. That'll do. Okay, so I've just duplicated those blurbs and changed the content, and you can see that they all look the same. So what I'm going to do now is go down to my purple button there and save the page. I'm going to leave the builder and I go back to my tab and refresh. And you can see that that's what people are seeing on the front end of that website. Now, what I'm going to show you next is we're actually going to go back to the footer thing now. So what I'm going to show you next is how to use the theme builder to make a footer that's going to be the same on every single page on your website. Okay, so rather than rebuilding a footer on every page, we do it once and it will automatically appear on every page of your website. Okay, so I only go to Divi. We're going to go into the theme builder. And in the theme builder here, it says add global header, add global body, add global footer. All right, so I'm going to add global footer and say build global footer. And you'll see that it opens up a screen pretty much the same as the builder that we were using on the home page there. And we're going to build our footer. All right, so it's got a section there already. It's asking us to add a row for the footer. I'm going to make it 4 columns because there might be some different things that I want to add. All right, in the first column, I'm just going to add a text module there. What I would like to do though is I would actually like the background of my footer to not be white. I want it a darker, not quite black. So again, going into the section settings, background, add background color. I'm just going to add like a, not quite black, but a really dark gray there. All right. Now, in this text section, I'm just going to put our business name and address, 20B Quay Street, Bundaberg, Queensland, 4670. So this might be some contact information you're putting in, and our phone number, 482. All right, now what I would like though is for that to be obviously white. So I'm going to go into our design tab, text. I could actually just change the text color to white, but I'm just going to show you a neat little trick. If you either want dark or white, There is another section down here that says text color, dark or light, and you can just use that to change that text color from either. There's only one option either way, but it's a nice quick option if you don't want to muck around with multiple colors up there. All right, so what we've got there is just some contact information. Now, the next section I'm going to show you another module which is for social media. You remember at the very start in our theme options, it was throwing up a few standard social media things. So I think this is probably actually the better way to do it. So I'm going to add a module here where it says social media follow. I'm going to put that in, and as standard, it's thrown up Facebook and X. We don't want X. Um, so I might want select social network. I might want, say, Instagram, and let's grab LinkedIn as well. Oh, sorry, Instagram there. That's done. Sorry, and then I'll add LinkedIn also. Okay, so we've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's put the little icons up there. Now, if you like those icons like that, all well and good. If you don't, all's not lost. We can go into the design section there, go to icons. Now, what I want to do, if you've got a square and you want to make it a circle or something like this, so we're in the icon settings at the moment. Sorry, if I go to Facebook icon and I go border, you'll see, I'm not sure if you can see it on your screen, but you can see these icons have got those slightly rounded corners on them. So yeah, just to repeat where I've gone in here, from the social media follow settings, I've gone into Facebook and then I've gone to design and then I've gone to border. And you can see that slightly rounded corners there, and it's got a setting of 3 there at the moment. If I was to increase that, you can see that Facebook icon getting more and more rounded until it's actually a circle. Okay, so if you want a circle, that's where we're going to do that. Okay, now another neat little trick. So what I could do is go and do that for Instagram and LinkedIn, but I'll show you a really quick way to do that. When you change anything in Divi, if you go up here and say there's this 3 little dots here, and it'll bring up a menu. What I'm going to do is go copy border styles. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go to Instagram, design, border. I could just click upwards there, but I'm going to click those 3 buttons and say paste border styles, and you can see that it's automatically changed it. And then I'm going to go to LinkedIn, design, border, go to my 3 buttons, paste border styles, and it's changed those to a circle. Okay, now I may also choose, if I wanted to put, instead of just the social icons, I might want to put like a little text there that says, um, follow us. I'm just going to change that. I'm going to bold that and use my dark or light setting to make that light. You can see it's actually below it, so I'm going to use my hold down my mouse on the move module icon and drag that above it so it says follow us there. All right. And then there might be other things that you want to put in your footer, but that's that gives you the idea. So what we're going to do now is we've set up our footer. So I'm going to save that as we always do. And we're going to leave our global footer, just for good measure. It should be saved, but I'm going to press save changes there again. And I'm going to go to our tab where we're keeping track of how it looks. And you can see that what it's done there, it's actually got rid of that unwanted section that we didn't want, and it's replaced it with the global footer that we have actually made. Alrighty, now one last little thing on that. If you often notice on websites, there's that little copyright notice at the bottom there. I'm just going to go into our theme customizer and just show you what to do, because you see that that's actually also taken away that bottom bar. So, and what you'll notice is that when we were changing things in the footer there earlier, because we've created a global footer, the footer settings are actually gone out of this theme customizer. So if we want to add um, that back in, we're going to go back into Divi Theme Builder, go back to our global footer. What I'm going to do is just add another section there. Add a text module. I'm going to make this section I'm going to actually make this section full black. I'm going to put I can't remember what the short code is for the copyright symbol, and I'm not going to go and paste one in, but we're just going to put copyright Regional Business HQ 2025 design text. I actually don't want that full white text, so I'm going to just go add color, and I'm going to make that just slightly under there. Now, and I don't want that to be as big as what it is. So remember before, going back into our section settings, design spacing, top and bottom padding, and I'm just going to pull that right back. So there's the bare minimum of spacing in there. All right, so I've just added that extra little bit of copyright information to the bottom of our website there. I'm actually with this footer, I think I'm actually just going to down that spacing a little bit as well. I'm just going to make it 2%. All right. Okay. So there we have our global footer. So I'm saved that. Let's exit out of it. All changes saved. Go back here and refresh. All right. So you can see at the bottom there, it's got that nice footer, copyright, Regional Business HQ 2025. We've got our we've got our welcome message there. We've got a few sections there. All right. So we the next problem that I'm going to address is if you look up here at the menu, you'll see it's got a whole bunch of stuff here. So it's got home, sample page, uncategorized, which absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. So someone said, Rochelle, how do you add the links to the social media icons to make them work? All right, so let's just quickly go back there. Sorry. So you got social media icons. So we're going to go into the settings there, Facebook. Just under where it says that, it's got link. And it's just got a hashtag there at the moment. So you would go to your Facebook page and just paste the link to your Facebook page in there. And you'd be away. Likewise for Instagram, you go to Instagram, copy the link for your Instagram page and LinkedIn, and then save it all in there. So, sorry, I did skip that little bit in my excitement of making them into circles. But yeah, right below it, it's got the link, and that's where you put your account link in. All right, so let's go and fix this menu up. Um, so that it's looking right. Now, what I would normally, all right, so we've got home, sample page, uncategorized there, so which absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. So what we're going to do, now I think most people are on most websites now, you pretty much rarely see a link to homepage because most people, we've trained ourselves to just go and click on the logo and that will take us home. But we're going to add it in this case anyway. Now, what we're actually just going to need a few more pages. Um, so we're not going to build those pages right now, but I am just going to add a couple of pages so we've got things to put in the menu. So let's add a page. So if we say about, oh, I'll just call that one about. Actually, do you guys, I've got a little bit of time. Since we've got to create these pages anyway, do you want me to show you what happens if we click the AI option or the template option? Just click a thumbs up or a yes in the chat if you want me to show you. Rochelle said yes. All right, we got a few minutes anyway, so let's take a quick detour and I'll show you what actually happens if you choose one of those options when you create a new page. So this is our about page. Let's come up with our three options here. So let's say, let's choose a pre-made layout. So let's browse the layouts here. And as we said here, so we've got 357 layout packs or 2,603 total layouts. And if you can actually scroll them by category there if you want, or you can just scroll through and have a look. If I just pick one at random here, if I click on that, it will actually show me. So it's got the blog page, about, contact, home, landing page. What I can actually do there is I can go view live demo. And it'll give me a live view of what that layout actually looks like on my screen. Okay, so and then if I wanted to use that, let's just close that. So I could actually say use this layout and the landing page layout, and it will actually just load all that content up on my screen. And then if I didn't want to change anything except for the words and pictures, I could just go through and change the words and pictures and so forth. If I wanted to do that. While we're in here, you'll also see that it's got two other tabs called Your Saved Layouts, which we won't have anything at the moment, and Your Existing Pages. So you can see that home page that we created there before is there. So if we wanted to use that exact same layout as our home page that we've already created and adjust it from there, I could click home and it would load all that content that we've created on our home page. All right. So um, that's that one. Oops. So let's just duck out of there. And then I want to add a new page again. So let's just call this one contact. Use Divi Builder. Now, I'll show you what it does if we select the AI option this time. Important thing to remember with this is if you use AI with it, after a certain period of time, it's going to say to you, oh, I hope you're enjoying our AI feature, but if you want to keep using it, you're going to have to pay extra for it. So I'll just give you that warning up in front. All right. So describe the page you want Divi AI to create. So we'll give it a brief description. Obviously, with any AI, if you're using ChatGPT or anything like that, the more context, the more information you give it, the better its results going to be. In the interest of time, I'm only going to give it a very basic thing though. I'm just going to say we want a contact page for our regional Queensland website. People would be contacting us about what it is like to live, work, live in a regional area of Queensland. So tell us about the the website's about the benefits of living in regional Queensland. All right. So as I said, if you had more time, you'd probably give it more information, customized fonts and colors. Um, Website, I don't want it to be different to the home page, so I'm going to change it to website default, but you could say let AI choose for me. But anyway, we put a bit of information and you see up there it does say free trial. So it says you can generate up to 10 layouts for free, upgrade to enjoy limited usage. So as I said, if you use AI for anything in this, just remember that after a while it's going to ask you to pay extra. So let's say generate layout. I don't know where in Queensland that is, but anyway, that's all good. So anyway, you can see it's yeah, you do a lot of work on that to fix it up, but it's generated a page. So um that's how the AI thing actually works. So you may like it, you may not, and you can always ditch it and start again if need be. But that is actually how the if you choose AI function, that's how it works. All right, so I'm going to click on exit visual builder. I'm going to actually discard an exit there. So anyway, let's go back to our dashboard now. I just want to check If I click on all pages, you'll see here it's got about, which is in a draft. So in WordPress, when you're in this pages menu, if you press quick edit, you can change some basic things without having to go into the whole page. I'm going to change the status of that to published. And likewise with the contact page, I'm going to change that to published, even though we haven't actually built anything on there. And that sample page that WordPress automatically installed, I'm going to trash that. All right, and then it's got a draft privacy policy there, which has been put in by either with Divi, I think, but that's in draft at the moment. Let's not worry about it. Let's concern ourselves with our home, contact, and about page. All right, so we got 3 pages published. We're going to go back to appearance now. And so we've checked out themes, we've checked out widgets. Now we're going to go to menus. And we're going to create our main menu. So the menu name is going to be main menu, where it says display location. If you're just starting out, just have this menu as your primary menu and then click create. All right, so and you'll see now that it's added this add menu items from the column on the left. So we've got pages, view all. Let's select all 3 of those. Add those to the menu. Now, and I'm going to click save. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of little things here as well. When you're working, this is not necessarily Divi theme. This relates to WordPress in general. So if we go to our tab and click refresh, you can see there that our 3 pages we selected are making up that top menu now, home, about, and contact. Now, just say you had uh, just say you had lots and lots of pages on your website and you've got sub pages as well. So just say this contact was a sub page. Say you had some services and then your services, you've got as a services as a main page, and then you've got numerous sub pages for your individual services. You might want to set your menu up like this. So what I'm going to do is just show you how we use the pages we've got. But if I just go to contact and I just drag that across slightly. So it's there. What that's going to do over here, let's refresh that. You can see that it's made that a contact a sub item of about. And so if I click over about, contact now pops up as an item under that. So if you've, like I said, so for example, if you've got services and you've got a main service page and you want them to pop up underneath that, um, that's the quickest and easiest way to do that is in your WordPress menu settings. Just drag it across slightly to make it a sub item of the one above it. And then you can, if you want them in different order, you can change the order as well in there just by clicking and dragging. So that that's how menus work in WordPress. So so basically today, so Anna's just asked a question. I have a WordPress with job text theme for another website. Can I manage 2 websites within WordPress and select a Divi theme for the second website? So it's probably Yeah, it's a bit beyond the scope of where we are going with this workshop. I think, and I'll tell you now, there's a thing called WordPress multi-site, which I haven't used a lot of. So I'm gonna say possibly, but off the top of my head, Emma, I'm not actually 100% sure how the WordPress multi-site thing actually operates. Sorry, but I can certainly find out for you though, because as a general rule, I generally work on one WordPress for one website. But that said, it's probably a nice little segue though, to because what I am obliged to tell you about is the digital solutions one-to-one program. Have any of you guys actually done just the free workshops? Have any of you actually jumped in and done the one-to-one mentoring through digital solutions? Okay, so generally, Trish said, does WordPress and Divi Theme offer? Does WordPress and Divi Theme offer? Where is it? Phone or email support at all. So generally, if you want support with your WordPress, so WordPress is what we call open source software. So which means that multiple developers work on it. If you generally want support for WordPress, you would generally contact your hosting company. Um, with Divi, um, you go to Elegant Themes. So I will just go to that Elegant Themes account area there. So in with Divi, you've got get in touch. There's technical support, or you can actually open a chat window there with them. So they'll be in America. So you generally wouldn't be able to phone them, but yeah, they've got a actual yeah, they've got a chat thing on their website and a technical support area. And in my experience, they've generally been pretty quick to respond. So going back to the one-to-one program, so Digital Solutions does actually have a one-to-one support program. So where I guess um, the workshops such as this one are designed to be a one size fits all and be a general source of information. If you do need specific help, and that's a great example of like um, Emma's question about sort of what I would think would be a WordPress multi-site thing, is probably a little bit more specialized than the knowledge that I've got. So you probably want someone who's got a little bit more IT sort of nerd qualities. But you can sign up for the one-to-one program, and what it means is that you'll get some support that is specific to what you actually need to move your business forward. So it could be a website problem, it could be a social media strategy, or it could be a problem with accounting software. But what you actually get with it is that there's basically 4 hours allocated. The first hour is half an hour of planning and half an hour of admin to put together a document called the Digital Action Plan, and then you can have up to 3 hours of time with the mentors one-on-one helping with your most pressing problems. Now, there is sometimes a small cost to that depending on what area you're in. And I say what area because there is some councils in different places that have actually sponsored local businesses to do the program, but generally speaking, it is $110 to do the one-to-one program. And just to give you an indication, by the time we walk you through the whole thing of one-to-one advice, it actually costs us between $1,000 and $1,500 to deliver it. But the federal government, through the Australian Small Business Advisory Service, steps in and covers the bulk of that cost for you. So what I've actually put up there, there is a QR code on the screen at the moment, and that will take you to the sign up page for the one-to-one program through our partners. Business Foundations, who is part of it, is one of our program partners. But if you're in Queensland, you'll be referred back to us. If you're in Western Australia, then you'd be referred to Business Foundations. So as I said, most it would cost you is $110. But if you're lucky enough to be in one of the areas where the council or some level of government has sponsored businesses to do it, then it could be for free. So if you feel free to contact us directly if you want to know if anything like that applies in your area. So we are, rather than going directly to that sign up page, just chuck us an email at info at businesshq.org.au. Let us know what area you're in. And if you're in an area that's got a code to let you do the program for free, we'll get in touch and help you sign up. Alrighty. So I do have time for a couple of questions. As I said, Eden was recording this. So if you want to, you should get that recording. And if you want to go back and have a look at it at your own pace, then by all means you can do that. Check our Humanitics page. I'm just going to find that date for you. On the Humanitics page, there is a follow-up to this workshop where we're going to look at a little bit more at some of the other modules and some of the more advanced styling tricks. I'm just trying to find that now. That's today. All right, I don't see that date. Oh, here we go. The 25th of November. Um, that's on. I'll copy that. I'm just going to paste that in the chat actually. So there's I've just pasted that in the chat. There's the link to the workshop that actually follows on from this one and builds on what we're going to do next to this website. So, and it will be some more of the advanced stuff. So, um, Pauline, I'm not sure, but I think Eden will probably email that out before the end of the week, I would say, or email you the link before the end of the week for the recording. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So, yeah, on that note, we'll probably just wrap it up. So, hope that that's been helpful to you today, and that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you have an enjoyable rest of your afternoon. So, I'm going to jump in the car actually and go for a little drive to Brisbane from Bundaberg. So, that's going to be my afternoon. But whatever you guys are doing, hope you do enjoy. Thank you. Thanks, Diane. Rochelle, you're welcome. You're welcome, Emma. Oh, thanks, Pauline. So yeah, not bad for a little knock up. But yeah, we'll make it even a little bit. We'll do some more fancy stuff with it in the next workshop. Cool. All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to end it on that note, and hopefully we'll see you in the follow-up workshop. Cheers.